list, and reading that slightly depressed me. So I apologise for
You
coming up
wrote
with that
it.
list in the first. I know the state's getting bigger, and all we do now is we look at the state all the time to fix our problems, and that in itself is the problem of this country. It's a hard time at the moment, and Keir Starmer has got a lead fist coming down on us, but that's because he's afraid. He's afraid of the people turning, and this is the last resort of all dictators to come down hard. The people have had enough. The people have seen through all the smoke screens and all the lies and all the propaganda.
You say that at the moment, England's problems are many: mass immigration, crime, unemployment, large state and government interference, rejection of merit, failing universities, poor education, laziness, entitlement, lack of confidence, rejection of personal responsibility, lack of morality, lack of patriotism, lack of self-respect, national debt, welfare, dependency, abortion, career politicians, poor parenting, and weak men. But you say patriotism is the way that England can be saved.
Absolutely. I mean, you just read that list, and reading that slightly depressed me. So I apologise for
You
coming up
wrote
with that
it.
list in the first. I know. I What we need to do is find our love again of this country. And that isn't to the exclusion of other people, and that's not to victimize and see other people as evil as the problem. Since the Second World War, whatever happened, we started to dislike our own country. How can you live in a family where you dislike your family, you dislike your children? That isn't a healthy environment to grow up in and to live in and to support and to love and to be there for. But that's what we've done to this country. The increase, the state's getting bigger, and all we do now is we look at the state all the time to fix our problems. And that in itself is the problem of this country. We're slowly turning into a socialist state.
You also say, Nick Buckley, that the word racist now simply means a white working class patriot. And isn't one of the problems, Nick, that people are too scared to speak up, especially when they see the sorts of punishments being dished out? And look, I'll just stress again, I'm completely against all forms of violence, Nick. I've always been clear about that. It doesn't matter who's protesting, whether it's the pro-Hamas mob or Just Stop Oil or the so-called Southport rioters. I am against all violence. But Nick, a lot of these people were not violent and ended up behind bars. Some people ended up behind bars just for sending a tweet or making a Facebook post, like Lucy Connolly or Julie Sweeney, because they were so horrified by what happened. And then you've got the guy today getting 9 years. And it does feel like there is a particular attempt to shut the white working class patriots up with exorbitantly ridiculous prison sentences.
This has been going, I talk about this in the book, but this has been going on all my life. Keir Starmer has just ramped it up to the next stage. 14 years of Tories were bad. New Labour was bad. My childhood in the 70s was all bad. As in, anything you said that people didn't like, you're a racist, you're a Nazi, you're homophobe. And those words were powerful words, but over time they've diminished now. And there was a bomb on my street 7 years ago, and that bomb on my street in Manchester city centre killed 22 people when the Manchester Arena blew up.
Yes.
And what did the people do? We all came out and we all sang, "Don't Look Back in Anger." And then 7 years later, you've talked about it earlier in the show, we had the Southport atrocity where 3 little girls got stabbed to death. At that point, then the people had had enough. And being called a racist and a fascist and a Nazi doesn't do it anymore now. And Keir Starmer, in his ivory tower, looked upon the anger of the people and he said to himself, this could go the wrong way for me. I could be strung up by a piano wire for this, because it's happened before. So he came down hard on the people
Hmm.
because the powerful words don't work anymore now. Who in their right mind could be sent to jail for a tweet? Some tweets may need punishing because you've crossed the line, but I can never envisage a tweet that should send someone to jail. But believe, and I write about this in the book, it's a hard time at the moment, and Keir Starmer has got a lead fist coming down on us, but that's because he's afraid. He's afraid of the people turning, and this is the last resort of all dictators to come down hard. The people have had enough. The people have seen through all the smoke screens and all the lies and all the propaganda, and the people now want to reclaim this country. And my book is about encouraging them to do that and encouraging them to be a bit braver, a bit more courageous, and be sensible and don't get sent to jail if you can help it. But the days of doing nothing, they're over.
So, what is the solution?
The last chapter of the book, I discussed that because there's no point in writing a book about the problems and then giving nobody any tips or help to go forward. So the last chapter in the book is about the resurrection of the English. And there's many things we can do. And I aim at it as an individual. There's no point me telling people to set up political parties and demonstration groups and go protesting because an individual can't do that by themselves. So my theory is if we can encourage individual English men and individual English women to be braver, to take on personal responsibility and not to be afraid and speak their mind, because when they speak their mind and they show the world around them that they're not afraid, that gives courage to other people. And then they're slightly less afraid and they'll speak their mind. And believe me, courageous is what's the word I'm looking for? You can catch it. It's contagious. You can catch it. And next thing you know, more and more people will not be afraid of the government. So speak your mind, be sensible. Tell your friends your points of view, your political points of view. You're sat in the pub with your friends and someone's talking about the LGBTQ madness. You just say, I'm not into that because it leads to child abuse. That's why I'm not into it. When someone calls you racist, just go, well, if that's what you think. But I know for a fact the people who ran the transatlantic slave trade were actually your descendants. They were Black Africans. So stick up for yourself, stick up for the country in a sensible manner, and that will breed courage and bravery. But we've been in worse situations than this before. That's what I keep telling people. This seems bad because we're living through it. But the Spanish Armada was off the coast 3 times. Napoleon was waiting for a nice day to invade. Nazi Germany almost invaded. I lived through the 1970s when we had power cuts every day. My house was full of candles. Bodies weren't being buried. We've been through worse and we will get through this. All we're missing at the moment is a hero.